Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. Happy Monday. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point. Huffing right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We very much appreciate it. I apologize in advance for my voice. I am getting over a cold, or I'm just in the middle of a cold, as the weather has been all over the place here in Fort Wayne. Real cold at night. I did go camping, so my voice is struggling a little bit. But on today's episode of the show, we're going to talk about the 2023 play-in tournament. We're going to give you our preview. We're going to see who's going to come out of the West and the Eastern Conference. And, of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. Welcome into the show, TJ. Happy Monday, my friend.
Happy Monday.
How are you feeling this morning?
Great.
Oh, man, it just gets better and better for you, don't it?
Yeah.
I go out drinking, man. I feel like the death, like for a while, like the next day after. You just bounce back, it's all Jiminy Cricket.
It is great. It is fantastic.
But yeah, please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. We're going to be talking about the play-in tournament. What are your thoughts on the play-in tournament just as a whole, as a concept, before we even get into these?
This is what, year 2?
3? This is year 3. Yeah, 3.
Year 3 of the play-in, and they still really haven't defined. They haven't defined it. So what I mean by that is like the games, like they count, but they don't count. Like the stats you score in the game, in those play-in games, they don't count towards anything, and they don't qualify as playoff games. We qualify them as playoff games because that's the vibe they give, and that's the reward at the end of the day. Like you get a playoff spot, but the league itself doesn't recognize them as playoff games. I think they should be, but then it's essentially like a wild. It's essentially the NBA's version of the wild card.
It's basically what baseball did with their stuff too. Like they do this with theirs.
It's a wild card. It's literally a wild card game.
And I personally, I'm a fan of the play-in. I think it has made the end of the regular season a little more entertaining, even if it has devalued individual games. But I do think the down the stretch has gotten more interesting. I mean, we saw the downfall of the Dallas Mavericks and what they were all going with. We're going to be talking about off-season stuff here in a little bit, but not necessarily for this particular podcast. Let's start in the Eastern Conference, if you can't, because this is the conference that the Bulls play in. Obviously, it's me and TJ's favorite basketball team. I'm going to start. So the 7-8 seed is the Heat and the Hawks, rematch of the 2022 first-round playoff series, which Miami dispatched the Atlanta Hawks, I think in 5 or 6 last year.
5.
Thank you. The winner of this game becomes the 7th seed. So how do you see this matchup shaking out between the Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat? Heat 44-38, Hawks 41-41.
I think it's all 4 teams have the same issue. Let's just say that right now and get that out the way. All 4 teams have the same issue, and that is which version of these teams are we going to get? All right. So the Miami Heat, are we going to get the version of you that smacked the 76ers around by 30?
And a game that Joel Embiid did play in.
In the game that Joel Embiid, that not just Joel Embiid, like the Sixers were fully loaded. All right, like are we gonna get that version of the Miami Heat where everybody's hitting shots and Jimmy Butler is looking like playoff Jimmy early on? Like, are we gonna get that, or are we gonna get the version of the Miami Heat where it's
they lose to the Wizards?
Yeah. Atlanta, what are you getting? I got a notification today that the front office was given the green light to make any move they deem necessary to better the team. That includes trading Trae Young.
Well, they have been better as of late. The last 10 games. Looks like they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. Their defense has improved from where it was earlier this season. I'm not sure what kind of impact the new head coach has had on this roster. It's really hard to say. It's really hard to say with this sample size. Yeah, Quinn Snyder, because it is just a small sample size. It's really hard to say what kind of impact he's had.
It's like it is, man. Like And with Toronto, Toronto, they same thing. Like, who are we getting? Like, I expected better things from the Raptors. Like, I really
Well,
did.
the Raptors benefit by the fact that we'll talk about them here in a minute, but they benefit by the fact that this game is at home. They were a
Yeah.
very good road team this season. Was it let's see, 27-14 on the road, 14-27 on the road or away.
Okay. But to the first game, I'm gonna take the Heat. I just think I think they are a bad. I just think it's a bad matchup for the Hawks because they have the guards, they have the defenders that can make life, and we saw it. They can make life a little rough for Trey Young. Now the only thing different is Dejounte Murray is added, so you really can't focus all of your defensive efforts on just shutting down Trey Young. So like if you're Jimmy Butler, I think Jimmy Butler starts on Dejounte Murray and whichever version of Kyle Lowry you get, that's who's going to.
Yeah, uh, I'm not sure that's a. I'm not sure that's. Offensively, I'm a little bit concerned about Miami, especially if Kyle Lowry is coming off an injury. Um, I actually think the Hawks are going to win this game. When you have players like Trey Young, these are the kind of the reasons that you give them max money. I think this is the game where he kind of shows, hey, that I'm still Trey Young. I actually think the Hawks are going to win this game. This is going to be. I could obviously be completely wrong, and they
Right,
could go completely the other way. But
right.
I just think offensively, like this team is just more talented than Miami, and I think that Trey Young is going to be a difference maker in this game.
I think real talk. I really think the difference in maker in this game is the guy I was just talking about. It's Jimmy Butler. Like that's what you look for in your star players, right? For them to elevate their level of play in playoff situations, all that other good stuff, right? Jimmy Butler literally had folks calling him a Hall of Famer because he rose his level of play in the playoffs. Like we seen them, like we see him go crazy in Philly. We saw him go crazy with the Heat in the bubble. They was like, "Oh, this could be a Hall of Fame guy." I'm like, really? Just because like he got the nickname Playoff Jimmy,
Yeah,
right? Like that's the thing. Like we not pulling that out of thin air. We're not making that up. That's a legit thing. All right, and I also think Atlanta is gonna be guard by committee on Bam Adebayo, so he's gonna see a lot of Clint Capella, Okongwu, John Collins. And I think what makes this that much more intriguing is these are in division opponents. Like they see
yeah,
each other 4 times a year.
yeah. I was trying to find what their matchup, what they did this season. I just can't
If
find
they
it.
split or
Yeah, like what the matchup was for the actual season. Um, but yeah, this is a matchup we saw last year in the playoffs. Um, yeah, this is a series that Miami won very easily. But this is a one. This is a one you win and in scenario for both of
Mhm.
these teams. I think the Hawks are going to get the victory. But I be shocked if Miami won? No, not at all.
Right.
Because what you talked about at the beginning of the show, the Hawks are kind of like that wild card team. Like you don't really know what you're going to get from them on a night to night basis, and that's
Well,
one of the things that could.
The Hawks were sorry to cut you off. The Hawks were like literally the walking definition of 500.
Yeah,
They never
they literally have been 500. Like their record is like they haven't been over 500 the whole season or right around
that,
more than
right
one
around.
game.
And second game, I just think like would I be do I want the Bulls to lose? No, absolutely not. Obviously, I'm pulling for them. I just think this is a bad matchup for the Bulls because the length of the Toronto Raptors is like we've seen them when they play the Bulls. It's it's tough for them, right?
Yeah,
Siakam,
I think because you're going to beat the Toronto Raptors, you kind of have to be hitting shots from the outside, and the Bulls are the
and you got to
worst.
run, and you got to
And the
run.
yeah, the Bulls play at a slow pace, and they're the worst 3 point shooting team in the NBA by makes, not by percentage. I think there are teams worse than by percentage, but they have the fewest amount of makes because they don't have 3 point shooters, so they don't run their offense to take 3 point shots. But DeMar DeRozan, and not to mention who probably knows DeMar DeRozan pretty well, Toronto
Nick Nurse.
Raptors. Toronto
Like,
Raptors do. He played there for a decade.
and back
However long ago.
and back to the 3-point shooting. Like, you really only have faith talking about the Bulls and like legit three guys to shoot the three: Levine, Kobe White, and Vooch. Them the only three dudes that I like. And I mean, like anywhere on the floor. Like Pat Williams has turned himself into a decent corner three guy. But how many times a game are you going to be able to shoot a non-contested corner three?
I mean, it all really depends on dribble penetration. It's all of that stuff's advocated on dribble penetration.
And all that good stuff. Like, if
the
I'm Toronto,
Raptors have the depth where they don't necessarily have to slack in to try to stop a driver. Like they have big enough guys where they can guard everybody. They don't have to double.
no, so it's, what's his name? Scotty Barnes, OG, Siakam, like like those, like that's three guys of 6'8" and taller.
They added Jakob Pertl, who we all kind of clown when it happened, but he's been pretty good for them this season since he got there. Gary Trent Jr., one of the conversations with Sixth Man of the Year.
Well, we didn't clown Jakob Pertl. We didn't clown him. We clowned the Spurs. We clowned the Spurs for wanting 2 first-round picks.
No, I clowned the Toronto Raptors for giving up a first-round pick for Jakob Pertl in a trade that made 0 sense at the time, and even now, still doesn't make a lot of sense. So, but yeah, I think what you're talking about, the Raptors are just a kind of a mad matchup for the Chicago Bulls. I know they lost their last matchup they played against them.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't see them.
That was just a bad coaching job by Billy Donovan. He decides to go small against this team, and it's just like, dude, like we got killed on the glass. It was like during that stretch where Andre Drummond just like wasn't playing or barely played, wasn't playing a lot for whatever reason, and here comes Billy Donovan trotting out this lineup of, was this after the trade? Yeah, I think this had to be after the trade deadline. Patrick Beverly, Caruso, Levine, like Vooch, and it was like and Pat Williams. Like, bro, like this is not the lineup to go small. This is not the team to go small against.
So these teams played 3 times. Raptors won 2 of those matchups. Yeah, there's 2-1. The Bulls won the second matchup. They played in a back-to-back, a home and home, where they split that series, and then the Raptors won the series, won game 3 earlier in February, late February. But I just think that they're not a good matchup for the Chicago Bulls, and I'm actually going to take the Raptors to win this game. And on the Hawks Heat, the Hawks and Heat, the Heat won 3-1 advantage over the Hawks, with all 3 of these matchups being fairly close. This matchup by 8 points, 8, 8, and then 2. The most recent game was earlier this last month in March. Heat won that game 130-128. So. But yeah, I'm taking the Raptors to beat the Chicago Bulls. I have the Bulls going to the lottery, and we'll talk about their offseason when we get to it. But then I just can't imagine a scenario where they beat. I wouldn't be shocked if they beat Toronto. I just don't think this is a good matchup.
Right. If they do beat them, they ain't gonna be pretty.
No. Moving on to the other matchup. So let's say the Toronto Raptors move on. They would go up against, in my scenario, the Atlanta Hawks. In your scenario, they go up against the Hawks, and they go up against the Heat. In my scenario, I think the result would probably be the same. Whichever team the Hawks and the Heat loses that match, I think they would beat Toronto. I just don't think they're ready to really compete and really beat a team that has the firepower of an Atlanta Hawks team. They just don't. Even if Nick Nurse is a top 5 head coach in the NBA.
Ish. He said ish.
I'm just saying he's a really good head coach.
So I think the Heat are a more favorable matchup for the Raptors. Again, style of play matters.
I agree. I tend to agree with you on that, actually.
Right. So like if I'm Toronto, okay. Can the Heat as a collective get hot? Yes, but in the half court setting, who am I really only worried about breaking the play down and knocking shots down? Okay, that's Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has this uncanny ability to get to the cup, dribble penetration. David just talked about it. Tyler Hero has turned himself into a nice inside out threat, but he's definitely someone who you would rather him drive to the cup
He's a
versus.
woeful defender.
That's not what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying he
I'm
might be
literally,
one of the he
I'm,
might be one of the he's a net negative when it comes to the defensive end of the ball.
I am literally talking about just the heat on offense. That's literally it.
I'm just letting you know.
Like you got Bam and K Love in the front court. All right, I like that duo versus who's the like the Siakam the
Yeah.
four for Siakam
No,
and Perk
Siakam and Pirtle are the 4-5 for the
for the Raptors.
Raptors. Yeah.
So Miami and Eric Spoelstra's smart enough. When you talk about top five coaches, you got those Spo in there.
100%.
Spoelstra's definitely smart enough to put his team in favorable situations, so those guys can do what they do. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Heat if in my scenario if the Heat and the Raptors meet up. On the flip side, Heat and the Bulls, I'm gonna let that just knock them out like that slobber knocker happen because that's exactly what it is, bro. It's it's like carbon copy. It really is.
100%. Yeah, I think that would be an interesting game, one and done game. That would be very interesting. But yeah, so we have the Hawks and the Heat being the teams that come out of the playoff seed in the Eastern Conference. We're gonna do our full playoff preview episode on Thursday night, where we're gonna talk about the individual matchup in the first round. We will be doing a little bit of assumption on there because the final playing game is on Friday. But moving over to the Western Conference side of this, the Los Angeles Lakers, the 7th seed host, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who may have had the worst final night of the year of any team in the NBA this week, this year. Like first, you had Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert getting into it, where Rudy Gobert threw a punch at Kyle Anderson, and they sent him home. And then he had Jaden McDaniels, who picked. I don't remember exactly why. He was just going to the locker room for something. He punches a wall, fractured his hand. He's done for the year, and he's probably was going to be the prime LeBron James defender for Minnesota, as they have depleted all of their depth in that terrible Rudy Gobert trade. The Lakers won 18 of the last 26 games. They're 43-39. The Timberwolves 42-40. The winner of this game is the 7th seed. I've already made it clear. I think the Lakers are going to win this game. They will be the 7th seed.
Well, knowing what we know now, yeah, I'd be upset if they didn't. But last night I ruffled a few Laker fan feathers. I said
as you tend to do.
No, not really. Like in this situation, I'm usually reserved. I interact accordingly. But I said that before the season started, Bulls fans and Laker fans, excluding myself because I don't talk crazy when it comes to the Bulls. I'm super realistic when it comes to them. I'm not out here talking, oh, we gonna win it all. I'm like, no, I'm not that Bulls fan. But
I am for sure not that Bulls fan.
And you are for sure not that Bulls. My optimism is like a skyscraper compared to David's optimism, and that's saying something. But anyway, I ruffled some feathers last night. I said that Bulls fans and Laker fans did all that talking back and forth to each other to be in the same boat, play in. And of course, some Laker fans are like, it's not the same. We only got to win one game. Y'all got to win two, bruh. You're in the play in. You're in the play in. Seeds 7 through 10 are play in teams. Semantics aside, silver lining, you can look at all the silver lining that you want. You only got to win one game. I don't care. You're a play-in team. That's what you are. You ain't got to like it. You ain't got to like the reality of it, but that's what you are. I don't miss me with we only got to win one game. Y'all got to win two. We ain't the same. Yes, we are. We are a play-in team. Y'all, the answer to both questions is yes. Are the Lakers in the play-in tournament? David?
They are.
Are the Bulls in the play-in tournament?
They also are.
So guess what that means? Same boat.
So these the Timberwolves won this season series 2-1. They beat the Lakers in October. They beat the Lakers in March, and then the Lakers beat them towards the end of the season by 13 points. Basically at the last day of March, which was a couple weeks ago, or 10 days ago.
To your earlier point, yeah, Rudy Gobert, way to cause your team to implode, dude. All because Kyle Anderson said block some shots. which is what they brought you in to do.
I've actually heard a lot of mixed stuff about what actually happened. That Rudy Gobert was like get a rebound to Kyle Anderson with some expletives thrown in there. So I have actually heard a lot of different stuff that actually came out of what actually happened.
Whatever.
So
What Rudy Gobert did, that was some sucker. That was some sucker stuff.
like it's your teammate. There's no reason for you to throw punches at your teammate. It just doesn't make any sense.
Like there was some sucker stuff, bro. Like, and now you cost your team. Like now you cost your team because not only did you get sent home, you're suspended for this game. You cannot play. So talk about so if you're the Laker fans, talk about catching a break. They're like
the Lakers have been catching all of the breaks. I'm not one of those conspiracy theorist guys very often, but when I saw that
this makes you wonder. This makes you wonder.
When I saw that free throw differential and this, like Rudy Gobert just all of a sudden goes bananas. Like he gets suspended for the play in the game. Like, are you kidding me? And if you're I don't know if the league suspended him or the Timberwolves suspended him, but why would you suspend one of your better players for the game you need to win? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that is a good,
the
good question. Was it the league or was it the team?
Because there's no way the league suspended him. I just don't think they did.
Like that is a good question.
Would he pick up a technical? He was automatically suspended.
No, like I don't even think he picked up a tech. Like the altercation happened on the sideline, and they sent him back to the locker room after that, and they sent him home. So if he's suspended, it has to be the team's doing. Because if you're the league, like what do you like? How do you respond to that situation if you're the league? Like you punch your teammate, I'm gonna suspend you. Like the league, that's not on the league.
I think Minnesota. I think the team suspended him.
Yeah, it says right here: Timberwolves suspend guard Rudy Gobert 1 game for punching teammate.
Yeah, I mean.
So let me get this straight. Like you suspend the guy you traded essentially 5 first-round picks for,
and some swaps,
and the most important game of your season up to date.
Yeah,
against a team that you had a lot of success against recently, and that's with LeBron and AD.
I mean, I don't know, but the winner of that, it becomes the 7th seed. I'm going to take the Lakers to win this matchup. I have very little faith in this. So
I have no Jared, not Jared Vanderbilt, no Jaden McDaniels, who, like you said, was going to guard. Like his primary goal was just, hey, you're not going to shut down LeBron. Just make his life as miserable as possible. We will do the rest.
Yeah.
Right. So you got that, and then you got
your primary Anthony Davis defender. You decide to suspend,
and you suspend him. So like you're saving grace, like saving grace. Your only hope is that somehow Karl Anthony Towns puts down the cringe factor and plays AD to a draw. If AD
defends without
and
falling.
defense. If AD gives you 30, if AD gives them 30 and 15, Karl Anthony Towns, you got to be neck and neck with him. You got to get him 30 and 15, and to David's point, without fouling. If he pick up 2 fouls in the first quarter, Lakers going to win this one by 20.
100%. The winner of that matchup becomes the 7th seed. The loser goes on to face the winner of the 9-10 matchup, which happens to be the New Orleans Pelicans, hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. 42-40 for the Pelicans, 40-42 for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, the winner faces, we're in our area, both of us, the Timberwolves. The loser goes to the lottery. New Orleans actually won 3 of these matchups, 3-1. The most recent was the day before my birthday, 3-11, where the Thunder actually won that one, 110-96. Zion Williamson probably will not play in this game, just because he hasn't played in months, so I doubt they're just going to activate him for this particular game.
Right. So this is the second year in a row that your franchise player is missing your playoff run. It's not a good look.
No, for sure not a good look.
And you maxed this guy out. You cashed him out. And
And I mean,
again,
on top of that, if you're the Thunder, you're kind of playing with house money here a little bit
oh
because
hell yeah, hell
like
yeah.
nobody expect anything that happens to this point is a successful season. Like nobody
Hmm.
you thought you were going to be like in the Wembanyama sweepstakes, right? And the fact that you're about to be a game out from the making the play, if I'm the Thunder, I'm not sure I would really want to win this game. I just would rather get myself in the lottery and have a shot at getting Wemby.
No,
Um,
fuck that. No, fuck that. Go for the win. Hell no.
but I mean,
Go for the
obviously,
win.
I mean, you continue to play, but if I am Oklahoma City Thunder and we do not win this game, I don't necessarily wouldn't be like
You
super
you
upset.
have you have better odds at winning this game and
Yeah,
getting into the playoffs than you do of making or than you do of getting Wembanyama as the first overall
yeah.
pick.
I mean, but you have that's. I mean, we're talking 20, 75, whatever the odds are. I don't have math in front of me, but um, I think when it comes down to it, I think the problem is SGA is just so good. I actually think he
It's
will
the
will this.
whole team.
I think he will will this team to a victory, and I think they're going to beat the Pelicans.
Yeah, it's the whole team.
I don't know who's going to guard SGA. That's the kind of the point I was trying to make. I'm looking at the Pelicans, and CJ McCollum's not an elite defender. Kira Lewis is an elite defender. SGA should have like 40 and
Jose Alvarado has been out.
yeah. SGA is going to go for 40, and they're going to win the game.
So yeah, I just want to bring up the fact that once upon a time you said Zach LaVine's max contract would be the worst in the NBA, and Zion Williamson is a thing. You got to hold that L, bro. You got to hold that one.
Hey, man.
No, you got,
The contracts are still young.
and one guy's here playing on his. The other guy can't make it past 30 games a season.
Well, I mean, Zion Williamson's extension hasn't even kicked in yet, so
I ain't trying to hear that. I'm not trying to hear that.
technically he's not even getting paid on the extension yet, so it doesn't collectively count.
It does. It's just it's signed.
Yeah.
It's signed. It's signed, sealed, delivered. It counts.
I'm taking the Thunder to win this game, though. I think the SGA is going to have the game of his life. I think Josh Giddey's going to have Josh Giddey game. The Williams brothers are going to have one of those guys. If we were to do a redraft, the kid from UC Santa Barbara would be like the third pick. Like he for real would be the third pick. Like if they were to redo the draft over again, it would Paul Banchero. You probably would still take.
Yeah, Banchero still goes number one.
And then number two is either probably you probably still take. God, my brain is just shot right now. I'm on so much cold medicine. The kid from Gonzaga probably still goes number 2 overall.
Oh, Chet Holmgren.
Yeah, and then Williams goes 3. Like he's been that good as a rookie. I mean, you can throw some other guys in. Jaden Ivey's been pretty good. Keegan Murray's been solid. Benedict Mathurin was good before he got hurt. But yeah, this is as a draft class, this has been a pretty solid.
So you say the Rockets go Jalen Williams over Jabari Smith?
Yeah. Jabari Smith has been pretty meh as a rookie.
Yeah, Santa Clara. UC Santa Clara. Yeah.
So I would like the Thunder to win the game. I think SGA is going to have a big game.
This might be a chalk pick, but I got to go with New Orleans just for the simple fact that they have guys who've been in this. They have playoff guys. CJ McCollum, more often than not, was in the playoffs in Portland versus not being in the playoffs.
Has he ever been in the playoffs?
I believe so.
I don't think he has.
I believe he has.
Okay.
It might have been super early. That's something we can look up, and I'm about to. But I
got it. It's gonna take me a second though. So go ahead.
Yeah, I just have more faith in the experience on New Orleans than the youth of the Pelicans. Of the Thunder. Now, would I be upset if the Thunder won this game? No, absolutely not. Because I say this all the time about young teams. All right, now y'all got a stockpile of young talent. What are you doing with it? Like seriously,
it doesn't mean a whole lot if you have all this playoff,
all this young talent.
It doesn't count to anything if you're successful.
Orlando, right? Like you got all this young talent, and you winning what? You got to at least show some signs of life. Yeah, no, I'll take that back. He's never missed the playoffs. CJ McCollum's
Yes.
never missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
Huh. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah. CJ McCollum's never missed the playoffs. He's one of those guys.
He's like James
So
Harden.
he's like James Harden and Donovan Mitchell.
There you
Yeah,
go.
OKC. If I'm OKC, yeah, I'm forget the draft status. If I cared about that, I'd have started tanking long time ago.
Well,
F this place.
I don't think they could have tanked because their players have played so well. They basically were like, yeah, we're not taking this season. We're going to continue to like they're young players that have like grown up in front of our eyes. Lou Dort. I like the Thunder to win this game. I still think though whoever wins this matchup, I still think they'll get beat by Minnesota, and I think Minnesota will be the 8th seed, even if they lose to the Lakers. I think
Even
they'll
if
get
they-
Rudy Gobert. They'll get Rudy Gobert back. I actually think in your scenario, I think it'd be more improbable if for Minnesota to win. I think the New Orleans Pelicans would be a matchup problem for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but I think they could beat the Thunder.
I think okay, so let's just take your. I think the Lakers. I think both the teams, the Pelicans and the Thunder, I think they're a matchup nightmare for both teams. If you're the Thunder, hey, get out and run. We've already shown that they can't keep up with us. We want to make this game as fast as possible. None of their guards can guard SGA in the half court. None of their guards can guard like your saving grace is what? Okay, we don't have they can't guard Brian, they can't guard AD. We really don't have to. We just gotta outscore you. And we've proven we can do that.
Yeah, I mean they're one of the most explosive offenses in the NBA, and they run such an interesting offense. It's going to be awfully interesting to see, like just how they play. Like it's going to be very interesting.
Everybody talks about that the night LeBron passed Kareem, they lost that game.
Yeah,
They lost that game to the Thunder. By the way, like that's who they were playing. They lost that game. New Orleans, again, they can make it uncomfortable for the Lakers too. Valanciunas likes to bang. We already know AD don't like to do that.
I mean the Thunder are the 5th highest scoring team in the NBA this season. Lakers are 6, by the way.
So yeah, like, do they have a more favorable matchup against New Orleans? Yes, they do. I'm calling it what it is. They absolutely do. Like they play a similar style of play style. Bi he ball in his hands. McCollum same thing, right? Yeah, they don't have the defend. I mean, they do. Herb Jones, you're gonna see a lot of LeBron make it uncomfortable. Trey Murphy, y'all gonna take turns.
Jonas Valanciunas, who's been very good this season.
Quietly, one of the best double guys in the league. Quietly,
and he stretches his range out to the 3-point line. I'm not sure what his percentages are for this particular season, but he's been a guy who can knock down threes from time to time.
All right, time to time. That's all I need. I don't need you to fall in love with the shot.
But because I took Oklahoma City to beat the Pelicans, I can't go back and because I actually think if New Orleans is the team that comes out of that first match, I think they'll beat Minnesota. Minnesota will be left going home for the playoffs, and they'll have to give their pick up to Utah, who ends up the lottery. But I picked the Thunder. I think Minnesota beats the Thunder.
Cool. No issue.
Yeah. So if you have New Orleans beating Minnesota?
I would have New Orleans beating Minnesota. No, I would have Minnesota beating them because Gobert is coming back. Gobert would come back that game, right?
He would.
And so yeah, it definitely would be. I would watch it. Like, okay, who gonna guard Anthony Edwards? Who do you like? Who was that? Would that be Trey Murphy?
I guess. I mean, they would probably put CJ McCollum, and then Trey Murphy would probably be the guy who puts defenses.
Because CJ would guard. CJ would have to guard. No, not have to. CJ would guard. Mike Conley.
Stick him on Mike Conley because he's. And then I'm not sure who steps into that Jaden McDaniels role. He was starting for Minnesota, so I imagine it'd be Kyle Anderson or Taurean Prince.
Because that's what's lost in this. Like, yeah, you get Gobert back, but Jaden McDaniels is gone.
Yeah.
Like, even if they beat the Lakers, you still get Gobert back, but Jaden McDaniels is not coming back. Like, that's it. Like, if you make it past the first round, which we don't see happening, you'll be lucky to get them back in the second round if you make it that far.
Yeah, and I mean the West is going to be the Western Conference is going to be tough, but yeah, that's been our preview of the play-in tournament. Thank you very much for joining us. The rest of the week we're going to be doing tomorrow night. We're going to be doing our XFL Week 9 predictions. Keep an eye out for that content. Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the NFL draft and looking at some of the offensive prospects, and then Thursday we're going to be doing our first round playoff preview. We should have a little more clarity about who's going to be playing who, at least at the bottom half of the bracket. I think both the East and the Western conferences, especially the West, I think is very wide open. I think there are at least 5 teams in the Western Conference that can come out of the Western Conference. So it should be interesting. Any final thoughts on the play-in? Didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying I was definitely looking forward to the whole playoff picture as a whole. Once all this gets settled, any final thoughts toward the play-in? Make the games count towards something. Like call it a wild card. Like have separate stats for it. I don't know. Do something. I don't know. That's just me. They're probably gonna leave it as is, but it's whatever.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for checking us out here at Prime Sports World. This has been our 2023 play-in tournament. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be feeling a little bit better when we do our XFL show because man, we got a lot to talk. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to the XFL tomorrow, dude. 2 overtime games. Man, that Sea Dragons DC Defenders game last night was a burner, dude. It was so entertaining.
I am so upset I missed it because I was driving home during the bulk of it.
Yeah, dude, it was a classic game, dude. Back and forth, it was very entertaining. But yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow. You guys all have a good night, TJ. What are we doing here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, kind sir, and I will see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow, brother. You have a good night.
You too.